Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy. And using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the deferred sales trust, is an amazing way for you to exit highly appreciated assets, defer capital gains taxes on cryptocurrency, businesses, real estate, so you can create and preserve more wealth, or help your clients, friends, and family do the same. My name is Brett Swartz, and each and every episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and business minds in the world, where they share their ideas and deal stories. So together we make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of New York. And he is a co-founder of Dymo, or Demo. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it yet. Well, he'll tell us in a minute. But he's passionate about pushing the boundaries of technology to foster the development of a better world. And he's focused on virtual currency, cryptocurrency, with interest in LOT, AV, VR, and anything else from science fiction that has a chance to becoming reality. And today's episode, we're going to talk about using blockchain to upgrade the auto industry. Please welcome to the show with me, Alex Rawitz. Alex, how are we doing?
I'm doing great, Brett. It's really awesome to be here. I'm excited to get into it.
Absolutely. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Absolutely. I've spent over a decade in the tech space, mostly at early stage companies in the IoT space, in the fintech space, cryptocurrency. Started investing in it when I was, almost a decade ago at this point. So I've been around the block on that front for quite a while. And then I linked up with some old friends and some of my co-founders about 3 years ago to start Demo. We believe that blockchain can really take a lot of industries, not just the financial industry, but other trillion-dollar industries like the auto industry, and upgrade the way that those things operate for better outcomes for businesses and users. So I've been on that path for the last 3 years. I cover all things growth, marketing, partnerships, and a whole lot more at the company.
Amazing. And this is, by the way, to learn more, you can go to dimo.zone, dimo.zone. Alex, before we dive into upgrading blockchain to using blockchain to upgrade the auto industry, and just take, businesses in general, right? I do want to take one other step back. I believe we've all been given certain gifts, and these gifts have been given to us to be blessing, help to others. Some people call them strengths, superpowers. So I'm just curious, what would you say is your one or two gifts or superpowers you've been given, and how does that help, how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things I find myself thinking a lot about as a leader at this company and this project and going forward is the importance of just kind of like willing to run at a problem without overthinking it too much. I think that is, it's both a little bit of a gift, but also a mindset that you can get into. And I think it is something that people can learn. We spend a lot of time. There's a lot of choices that are put in front of us, a lot of decisions we can make, often with imperfect information, but we have to be willing to kind of take a leap of faith, take that risk, eat it, own it, and just keep going forward with a positive attitude every day. So I've got a lot of that. And, I've also been a trained salesperson for a long time. And I think I've got some pretty unique qualities there.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, that makes sense. Willing to run out of a problem without overthinking, right? Taking the action, and then being great with sales and people, and a good positive mindset. With that being said, let's talk about using blockchain to upgrade the auto industry. What would you say is the number one secret to that? And tell us about Demo. This sounds really exciting.
Auto industry is $1 trillion industry. I mean, multiple trillions around the world. And the crazy part is that it's running on really, really old infrastructure. I mean, these are 100-year-old companies in many cases that are manufacturing cars or insuring cars or dealerships selling cars. And there's no really easy way for those companies to share data about what's going on with a car. The closest thing we have is Carfax. They see the average car 7 times in its entire life cycle. There's just no information about what's going on inside the car, how it's operating, how it's living over time. And if you think about the life cycle of a car, it changes hands multiple times. It's touched by, just by the owners, but it's also touched by dozens of entities, from maintenance companies to repair shops to remarketers to floor planners. I mean, there's a whole chain of companies in the used auto space that most people never even think about. And there's no way for these companies to exchange information and data about what's going on in these cars. And so what we're doing is we're building a digital identity for the car that is open and permissionless. That's where the blockchain comes in. We've actually made an open and permissionless digital identity standard that anyone can add data to, and you as the car owner get to kind of control and own your own vehicle data and share it with all these partners along the way. What that does is it unlocks a ton of value for the businesses and for the individuals that are involved in owning and operating the car, servicing the car, insuring the car throughout its life cycle. It opens up billions of dollars of value to the people in that chain.
Interesting. So it sounds like clarity and transparency for what's what's happening with the car, right? That anyone can access at any time. And talk about the because even I think it's like seeing color, seeing the TV in black and white, and then you go to seeing it in color. So talk about what that can do, like practically speaking, like I feel like a live case study or like a live,
I love that analogy.
Make it more practical. Yeah,
absolutely. So I have a Toyota RAV4. It's 2022 vehicle. I love it. It's a great car. And when I bought the car, Toyota gave me a subscription to their connectivity service, and they said, "Here you go. You can use our little Toyota app, but here's the catch. We get to take all your data." All right, okay, it's a nice app, nice enough app. I'm willing to part with that. And then what happens? What do they do with the data? They take the data and they have one insurance partner, Progressive. And so now Progressive emails me every couple months and says, "Hey, we think you're a good driver. We're looking at your data, and we'd love for you to switch to Progressive." Now, I'm a Geico person, not out of any strong allegiance, but I just am. But from my perspective, why is Progressive, if I'm going to share my data out there, if somebody else is going to be looking at some data in this chain that I don't have any transparency into, why is Progressive the only one sending me a quote? Wouldn't it be great? Like, give my data to everyone, give it to State Farm, give it to Allstate, like let them all bid on my data and who wants to give me the lowest price to insure me. So what we think is going to be a better situation, and what we've built at Demo, is the ability for me as a driver to actually own my own data and now bridge it and connect it into a bunch of different insurance companies. So we're working on those insurance integrations, and we can replicate that across maintenance. We can replicate that across selling your car. Basically, we're giving users back control over their data, which allows them to, go get better prices, go get better services throughout the life cycle of their vehicle.
Okay, I got it. So it's competition through the data, right? That actually serves the consumer, us, right?
Another example I give is we're building the app store for cars. So you as a user, again, you're going to touch dozens of types of entities over the life cycle of your car. You shouldn't be locked into just the one that Toyota has a partnership with, or just the dealer that you saw the first time, or just the maintenance shop around the corner. You should have competition on every single one of these angles, and it can be data-driven competition, which allows you to get better deals.
So smart and making sense. By the way, go to dimo.zone to get with Alex's team, dim.zone. It makes sense. Yeah. So you're basically giving the power back to the people, baby. And you're using the information age and technology, blockchain, to share that data in a way that serves the people versus just serves the corporation. Is that a fair summary, Alex?
Yeah, the two real innovative things that blockchain gives us in this data sharing methodology that are totally novel is, one, it really increases the ability for users to be in control of their own data, and this concept of self-custody, which has come to the crypto world. You can self-custody your own Bitcoin. It doesn't have to sit in the bank. You're in control of the asset. And we believe that's true of the data. It should be true of data assets as well. And the second part of the blockchain that's really, really powerful here is that the permissions, the actual way in which a user shares data from one place to another are built into transparent and open smart contracts. So anyone can audit it. I have no visibility into who Toyota is sharing my data with, how that data sharing is being done, how it's being governed. But with Demo, our actual permission, the code that governs how that permissioning works is an open smart contract. Anyone can go look at the code. You can't see, who did Alex share his data with? Of course, there needs to be privacy involved as well. But anyone can go and see that we're not, we don't have a back door into how the data is being shared. We're not sending it off in a different direction than we're, admitting to. We're making it a much more transparent system.
Yeah, transparency, accountability, self-custody, right? And again, that it serves the people versus just serving the corporation who has that joint venture partnership with someone like Progressive and is getting their, whatever their kickback if indeed Alex signs up. Rather, it's like, no, let him compete. And if Progressive wins, great. You know what I mean? But if Geico wins, fantastic. Okay, what's the number 2 secrets to using blockchain to upgrade the auto industry that you can think of right now, and or just this business in general with where you think this is going?
Yeah. I'll tell you on the other part in the blockchain that's really fun. So we've spoken a little bit about the infrastructure piece, data sharing, digital twin of the car, and that's kind of what we call the fundamental, protocol layer of what we're building. But there's another really fun consumer aspect to this, which is we have a blockchain-based reward token. So it's very similar to what, let's say, Starbucks did with their blockchain-based token. They launched it on Polygon, and as you get Starbucks rewards, you're earning it actually on the blockchain, even though you may not know it. We've done the same with our token. So one of the cool things is in the Demo mobile app, if you go in there and book maintenance with one of the handful of maintenance providers that we have in the app today, nationwide maintenance providers that can serve almost anywhere, after you pay and receive the service, you'll actually receive a little bonus in the Demo reward point. And it becomes an airline reward point for your car. So whether you're booking maintenance, an oil change, getting new tires through our mobile app, buying a used car warranty, or eventually even going to sell your car, we have all of these different providers from different parts of the country, running different kinds of companies, but we've been able to sort of build this unified reward point system. And that's something the businesses really like too, because it's really hard to, build a loyalty program around oil changes or tires or used car warranties. And no one's like shopping for warranties that often. But if you can not unite them all together around a single reward point, which again, we've put on the blockchain, then all of a sudden you have the ability for a user to have this experience like, okay, I really can earn some rewards back as I go through the life cycle of my vehicle.
This is so cool, right? So, I mean, I did a Southwest, right? And I was just at a Beverly Hills family office event, a conference. And then I'm at the restaurant and I'm like, yeah, put on my card because I get these reward points, right? I mean, we all do this, right? And so why not do the same thing for the auto industry? And it's through the blockchain and it's seamless. And it sounds like because it's in this infrastructure, it's able to transfer or move throughout the maintenance or tires versus oil change. Is that what you're saying? Walk us through that.
Exactly. So, whether regardless of which vendor you're buying with, in our mobile app, we're actually facilitating, you getting Demo rewards directly into, your wallet, and then you're able to spend those rewards. Now that's functionality, admittedly, that we're a startup, we're going to be shipping that spending of the rewards later this year, but that's 100% the goal. So maybe over the course of a couple of years, you're earning some rewards points, and then guess what? You're going to get a year free of maintenance and oil changes or new tires or whatever it is that you choose to spend your rewards on. But that sort of thing has never really existed in the auto space, at least across the entire history of your vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Alex Rawitz, Demo.zone, how to find them using blockchain to upgrade the auto industry. So Alex, what questions haven't I asked you yet that you're like, oh man, if people just knew this about what we're going to do and how it's going to change everything that you haven't already covered, what would you like to just ask yourself and then cover it?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting questions is why now? This is, again, 100-year-old industry, and blockchain's been around for over 10 years now. Like, why is now the perfect time? And what I like to mention is that this is like really the perfect storm of things changing in the auto industry. We have electrification, we have connected cars, we have autonomous technology being tested. The driving experience is going to change massively for my kids, in 20 years, probably they definitely will have an incredibly different driving experience. Maybe they don't even learn to drive. I mean, it's still a little bit up in the air how far autonomous goes, but certainly things are changing dramatically under our feet. If you've bought a car in the last 3 years, your car is now getting over-the-air updates, most likely. Not all automakers are doing this, but most likely getting over-the-air software updates in your garage. And guess what? There have been times where automakers have botched those, and people have lost access to their infotainment systems or lost access to features in their cars. And Car and Driver and all these other magazines have, for decades reviewed cars based on how they drive and how they feel and how they look. And that's great. But we need to start reviewing cars based on how their software works. Like we saw last year, Nissan's API connections go down for like three days, and no one with a Nissan app could use it because their API was down. Like these software considerations are going to be factors in the buying experience for users over the next decade. And it's going to be a brave new world really for anyone who's in the auto industry. Obviously, love classic cars and things like that. Not much is going to change. But if you're just the average consumer going out to buy a new car or a used car, like the software experience that you have with your vehicle is going to dramatically change what you're doing. And that's why we're excited to bring, again, this concept of the App Store for cars, where you can have competition, you can have all the insurance providers, all the maintenance options, all of that connecting in to just one interface.
Fascinating world. Yeah. And I also think about just the reviews. And if you have the data that is shared, that will actually like literally say like, yeah, this is the truth. This is the fact, right? Versus the fluff, right? You see the auto commercials and it's just like, it's Matthew McConaughey and he's just happy and his hair's flowing and he's cruising, and I forgot the one he does. He's Chrysler. I think it's Chrysler, right? And he's going, and you're like, I'm like, and I mean, I guess some of this stuff works, but what I like that auto commercial that goes like, no, here's the data and like, here's the reality of that, right? It's like fact checker, right?
So that's you're hitting on one of the ideas we had from the very beginning, and it's not something that our company is going to do, but like we've created this platform and our own other builders to come and build this on our technology, which is like somebody should build the data-driven car review site. That's like, okay, we have 100,000 Lincoln Navigators out there, so like Matthew McConaughey says it's a great car, but like, what does the data tell us? And I think that that's going to be a really, really compelling use case for what we've built that emerges probably in the next couple of years here. But there's going to be so many things like that. I think that people start to look at and start to use as they evaluate differently. Like, I mean, buying a car is like after your house, it's the most expensive thing most people own. So like, this is a decision that more data is good for.
Absolutely. I love this, Alex. And Alex Horowitz, dim.zone, demo.zone. And so, Alex, let's shift it a little bit into like just businesses general, even like finance or real estate. Like a lot of our listeners are, it's wealth. They're entrepreneurs. They own their own businesses. They own a lot of real estate. They own cryptocurrency, and so they're looking to exit these highly appreciated assets, but they're also looking to grow these assets. And they're looking at, especially real estate. Real estate is very dated, when it comes to technology for the most part, especially commercial real estate. So walk us through how blockchain might even upgrade business and real estate as a whole.
Yeah. The blockchain and real estate discussion has been going on for a long time. I've seen a couple of waves of it over time. And in that industry, and it's true to a certain extent in other industries too, but the tokenization of assets, I think, makes a lot of sense to people. The ability to fractionalize, to create new types of assets that are maybe, I don't know, the term synthetic assets has been thrown around a lot, that can be combinations of different tokenized pieces. I think that's going to probably change the way that people can and do invest in things like real estate or other assets like that. The thing about like using the infrastructure to really upgrade the industry, one of the things that's interesting about the auto industry is even though the background stuff has been very dated, cars themselves do have computers built into them, and they have for decades. So there is this like already kind of latent technology infrastructure that you can tap into, which we are. Most houses don't have technology built into them to that extent, the way that there's several ECUs in a car running the operations of the vehicle underneath the hood. So there's a little bit of that challenge of like, how do you actually make the literal infrastructure of the house more tech enabled. But I think anything IoT, anything blockchain, is going to eventually need some sort of blockchain element that governs like how those IoT devices are managed. So tokenization makes a ton of sense to me in the real estate industry, but then you're really looking at a pretty major upgrade in terms of technology infrastructure that would need to come into play to like tech enable houses and real estate and apartment buildings in a much more meaningful way.
Absolutely. I know what I think about too is just transparency within performance, right?
Yep.
We look at different real estate investments and their track records and their performance. And, if you go in the stock market, one thing they have over the real estate market is it's like real time, like this is what's returning. This is what's happening, right? And you see it all right there, right? Live 24/7. Real estate is not that. That's why people get competitive edges with that. But I'm just thinking about data and real estate and expenses and income and like what's actually being collected with revenue versus expenses. What's the true cash on cash return? The second part I'm thinking about is just even open up bank accounts with the applications. It seems like these things are like really dated and very slow. And the kind of questions they ask for and the things they ask for, where you could have a smart contract that's like, here's all of my secure information, whether it be EIN number or social security number or all these different things, and pushing a button and it linking up a smart contract to show this all just jumps in there, right? Like it's in there, it's done, and maybe it's connected by 2FA or something, but of course it would be protected. But the point is, it just is so slow.
Yeah. Oh, you're hitting on two major points. I mean, one is really hot in the concept these days in the crypto world called the ZK, zero knowledge proofs, which is the idea that like, I should be able to prove to you, Brett, that I'm an accredited investor without having to show you my bank account. Like I have assets to do it. I don't want to have to show you a statement. I don't have to tell you exactly what I own, but there should be like a way that I can verify in one end and prove it to you without you having to see exactly what I have. And that sort of idea is applicable, obviously, to so many aspects of the real estate industry. We see it. We talk about it in the in the auto industry as well. I should be able to prove some aspect of my driving to an insurance company without having to let them into all my private details. Or I should be able to prove, to the insurance company, I'm a safe driver, but I don't actually have to tell you where I live or stuff like that. I think that zero knowledge aspect, it's something that the industry has been working on, and it's the idea of digital identity for a very long time. And then beyond that, there's the second concept of these synthetic assets and these really like new types of methods. Instead of having some person in some outdated risk model that decides whether I'm loan worthy, that could be a smart contract. Like if I have the right provable credentials in a zero knowledge proof, then maybe the smart contract can automatically give me a loan and just say, hey, look, based on your credentials, you're good. Like we don't need to process this or anything like that.
Dude, this is music to my ears. Like, honestly, like the accreditation process is just painful. Like they have to have like an attorney or your CPA or like this third party group that you pay this money to give all your stuff to, and like, hey, can I, if you're a millionaire or more, right, you got to prove it to these people and they got to sign, and you got to do it typically every 90 days it expires. You got to do it again. And it's like, gosh, like really? Like I'm doing this over and over and over again. Can I just check my bank account and like, and even these real estate deals, or even then, like you're writing down like, hey, this is my real estate, I own this property, which should be provable. And then you're giving it an estimated value. And then the CPA is not doing an independent like appraisal, right? I mean, it should not have to be so painful to get things done that you've already proved, especially if you've already proven them in the past.
Another similar idea that we talk about a lot internally is like, how can we turn the DMV into smart contracts? Talk about a process or a place that's like broken fundamentally. There's 50 DMVs. They all operate differently. They all have different technology. Like pretty wild when you go under the hood there. And it's just like, oh my God, this is really just should be something that happens automatically in the background. And we ourselves aren't like really working on that, but we actually have a couple of partners that are working on what's called e-titling these days. So the idea that, yes, we can upgrade the DMV and put it all online, like countries like Estonia did, like 10 years ago, and make it really easy for us to actually interface with that.
Oh gosh, please. Yeah. You're bringing I think like you're lowering the stress of everybody if we can deliver on this kind of thing. By the time with Alex Rawitz, dimo.zone, dimo.zone. Alex, let's touch briefly on capital gains tax. Let's kind of bring this thing home, right? As if companies are growing using blockchain, if they're simplifying, they're going to grow the revenues, they're going to cut their expenses, and have more transparency, better customer experience. These are all the reasons why all entrepreneurs, anyone really in any industry, should be learning about what Alex is doing and how he's doing it. Just starting with the auto industry, but it's going to extend to all industries here in the future. But that being said, you grow your business, right? And you as an entrepreneur, you have these big capital gains tax. I mean, you're in New York, right? I came from California, now in Florida. These are huge events where you do an amazing thing, and the government says, "Where's my chance?" Right? They have a huge capital gains tax, and but there's ways to defer the tax. So I'm just curious, what's been your biggest frustration when it comes to exiting like businesses and trying to defer capital gains tax, or even cryptocurrency? What kind of comes to mind for you?
Yeah, there's a couple of experience. I mean, we're still quite a ways away from exiting at Demo, so not too far in our mind. On the personal level, as somebody who's been an investor in the crypto space for a long time, just the IRS has been a little bit behind on their ability to sort of keep up to date with the innovation that's happening in the crypto space. And one of the other things is that like even the software to analyze these smart contracts has not necessarily kept pace with the rate at which those smart contracts are being developed. So I had a couple of particularly painful years as an investor, literally having to go into these smart contracts and be like, what was it that was happening? And like, how is this taxable? And like, this was kind of an in-kind trade. So like, why am I paying capital gains on this? I mean, the pace of innovation is just so much faster in this industry than typically what the tax software companies can keep up with, certainly than what the IRS is aware of. And, at this point, like I've always made the absolute best effort I possibly can. I can't be 100% certain that like a tax software or something, didn't check the box perfectly for me, but it's just a complicated world. And when you have companies that are innovating at the rate they are, it's really hard for both entrepreneurs and for personal and for people. And so at Demo, we've been very careful to try to minimize that. And actually for a company that's like issuing our own, the company hasn't, but the foundation issued its own token. We've had to be very thoughtful about like how we're using the tokens, what kind of tokens are on the company balance sheet, and all things like that. And in fact, we've probably minimized it more than we would have, just due to the nature of the tax implications of holding crypto and the capital gains with it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is A, being very, very thoughtful about it, and then B, also being proactive about it as well, right? And that's part of what we pride ourselves on doing, is being proactive and thoughtful about building what's called a capital gains tax exit plan on the sale of businesses, cryptocurrency, real estate, and deferring that tax. That tax is typically somewhere between 25 and 50% of the proceeds on what you're selling. And it can be a huge, depending on depreciation recapture. It's massive, right? We did actually a cryptocurrency exit for a client. She exited 50, or she invested 50,000 into Bitcoin and went to 50 million, and she exited 5 million into our trust, deferred the tax, and used the money tax deferred to build a business. And so it's a cool way to exit cryptocurrency and to fund other business ventures, all tax deferred. It's kind of like an IRA or a 401k for multi-million-dollar exits, and it's very flexible for the entrepreneur. And it serves the big challenge, which is, hey, I want to, cash out over here, or at least, but not get crushed with the tax. But I don't necessarily want to cash out personally, in the sense of, hey, spend the money on my boat or my primary home. I actually want to invest it into real estate, or invest it into a business, or invest it back into cryptocurrency when the market drops. And so we believe this is massive, because it enables and empowers the freedom for the capital to move without getting crushed by the tax. And so that's what we do here. If you want to learn more, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. But those are the things I always encourage entrepreneurs, as you're building what you're building, Alex, right? You should also, when it's getting closer to it, we'd like to say 3 to 6 months before, right? Start to build the exit plan, right? It's never too early, because you do all the work just for the government to take 40 or 50% of the proceeds. Like, it doesn't make sense to not be strategizing and being proactive about it.
Yeah, we have a long way to go of building Demo, and in fact, we actually we raised some money recently, closed our Series A, and extended our lockups in our vesting period. So we're we just put on our seatbelts and we're ready to build for the next 5-10 years. But these are things that I'm sure any business owner thinks about. Again, I'm someone who's been in the startup space my entire career, so it's something that almost from the very beginning it's like, okay, well, if you're fortunate enough to get to that point where these are your considerations, then more power to you.
Absolutely. And also too, if you're looking to raise capital, we found it's a great way to do that, because there's, like, you may know people in your space, like we did 13.5 million of Bitcoin and Ethereum before the last crash of crypto. Now we're in a bull market as we're recording this. I think 68,000 a coin for Bitcoin right now. And there's capital that wants to fund these type of blockchain technology companies, that wants to go into real estate, that wants to diversify, right? But they don't know how without getting crushed by the tax. And so we become that bridge to bring the capital in to fund, versus someone just saying, okay, well, I'll sell my business for 3 million. I'll come with 2 and I'll give Alex 1, why not sell it for 3, defer that million and maybe come with 2? Like, that's just the concept that we like to do. But that being said, we're running out of time. You ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 20-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
I would start investing even earlier. I was lucky to start doing it at a young age, and I had some people early on tell me, like, hey, start investing. And I probably did it earlier, started than most, but you're never too early, right? Absolutely.
That sounds great. That's a good advice. The question number 2, what's the number 1 book you've recommended or given the most in the past year?
I find myself thinking a lot about thinking fast and slow, and some of the heuristics in there from Daniel Kahneman about, how people behave. And the one thing that I think about a lot is, both for, he talks about like how people remember and think about pain. And they have this idea of the peak end rule, which is like when you don't remember how long an experience is, whether it's pain or pleasure. Like your memory just like is devoid of time, but the intensity of the memory is based on the peak level of pain or pleasure and then the end of it. And so, if I'm working out or if I'm grinding through work, whatever it is, have to do something hard, I think about those peaks and ends. And I think that book is filled with lots of little nuggets like that. Oh, that's really fascinating. I got to check out that book. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. Cool. Question number 3. What are you most curious about right now? It's interesting. This is kind of a generic answer, but I'll give you a less generic version of it. I actually am quite an AI skeptic. I find a lot of the people who are like going nuts on Twitter about AI are just like laptop class, like permanently online tech nerds. And I'm curious, like, when is this going to hit some blue collar folks? Like, show me the examples of AI like impacting the masses, and I'll start to buy in a little bit more to AI. But like getting a bunch of tech nerds excited about something cool new that makes them like 5% more efficient as they sit at their laptop for 12 hours a day. Like, okay, fine, that's cool, but like, show me how it impacts the masses.
Yeah. With that being said, this leads right into the next question, which is perfectly lined up, which is, what is the number one way that you're using like a Chat GPT?
Honestly, like I just find Chat GPT bad. I don't know. I pride myself on being a very good writer. I was a history major in college and I wrote a lot, and I've never gotten like a really good output from Chat GPT. I guess for like, in place of Google every now and then, it helps to like maybe get me some slightly more refined answers than I would get from clicking around in Google. But like, I don't find it to be ready yet.
Got it. Is there one you're using that's like in place of it? Like you're like, hey, this one is actually more efficient or a little bit better than Chat GPT?
The best AI feature I saw recently is with a tool called Zapier. So if you're using two different software tools that don't connect, like they have no interface, Zapier makes an amazing product to actually get those two things to connect. So, I was trying to connect to a CRM that we have to an email system, and Zapier has had today, or I don't know, a couple of days ago, I saw they have the ability, you can write out what you want to do, like upon user creating new account, trigger an email in this system, and it built the connector for me. I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's really cool. So like they log into this CRM or they create this user account or whatever, then it kicks it to an email, and that email sends it out like, hey, the welcome is like it's taking that away. Is that what you're saying?
Setting up the triggers in between. Yeah. And it used to be you had to like configure it manually and build it, but like now you can write a sentence of what you want to happen and it spit out. I had to tweak it 90% of the way there, but like it did a lot of the work for me.
Got it. Right. Versus like the little steps, you can like type it and it's going to do the majority. Oh, that's really cool. And that's just upgraded for Zapier. Zapier just upgraded their system.
Yeah. And it seemed to be just like part of the regular service now. It wasn't even like, oh, here's a new feature you got to do. It was just part of the Zapier service.
That's pretty awesome. Next question. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Number one leadership quote. Wow, there's so many. Number one leadership quote.
It could be a theme too. It could be a theme. It doesn't have to be like exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I damn me, can't be flat-footed. I mean, I love these kind of themes around just like excellence coming from intentional practice and thought. Like you can go and shoot, I don't know, I played basketball. You can go and shoot 1,000 jump shots and like not get any better. But if you think about every jump shot, every time you're doing it, and how is my form, improving every single one, then that's how you get better. And I love the idea of like excellence is achieved through intentional practice as opposed to just mindless practice.
Love it. Yeah. Perfect practice makes perfect, not just practice. Right. So
yes, exactly. That's the phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Last question. After all the business you've built, the things you're building with Demo, all the things you're doing, what's like your number one practice to stay centered in your values and then stay encouraged to charge for to reach even higher heights?
Yeah, on a personal level, it's it's just exercise and time with family for me. Just to kind of unplug and get away from business. But within the business itself, in terms of like what keeps me motivated, it's always helping other people grow. Especially as we scale, our team has tripled in size in the last year. And, you really have to avoid throwing bodies at problems and be like, oh, well, we'll just hire another person. Like if you're not making the people that you have better and more efficient, then like that is the biggest miss as an owner, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, anything. So seeing our personnel grow and level up their own skills is the number one thing that keeps me motivated.
In fact, there's actually a bonus question now. And I'm just thinking about like, if there was one big domino that you think would make the biggest difference for your company and for yourself in the next 12 months, what's that one big domino? If you could just knock that over, that would have the biggest impact for you guys.
I think it's turning some of our great employees into great leaders. And, we have a new wave of hires that have just come in, and we'll be hiring waves of people after that as we grow. And, we need to see that. We need to see the people that have been here a year and a half, 2 years become, just like supercharged leaders. And that will help Demo really reach its maximum potential.
Absolutely amazing, right? As a leader gets better, everything gets better.
Yeah.
Alex, it's been more than a pleasure getting to know you and to hear a little bit about your story. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts and talents of willing to run at a problem without overthinking it, taking action, as well as the positive mindset and being a great leader that you are. I can tell that you are. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, can you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
Come check out demo.zone. And actually, we have a second website as well, which is very consumer focused. If you're interested in actually using our product and using our mobile app as opposed to just the big vision, drivedemo.com.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much. I also want to thank our listeners for listening to an episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy. Using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to exit cryptocurrency businesses, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax. You can create and preserve more wealth, and or maybe start a company like Alex to solve huge challenges in the world, like the inefficiencies of the auto industry. We want to encourage you to take action, be proactive in all of your planning, with everything that you're doing, especially when it comes to exiting. You can check out the book that came out. It's called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. This is on Amazon, and it's pretty cool. We have some really smart people like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book and others. You can check that out on Amazon, and then you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to get started on exit planning. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.